One night in November 2015, 5 minutes before midnight, before I sent an email to my colleagues to resign from my teaching position, I asked myself one simple question. What was the question? You're going to find out later. I was a tenured professor in sociology at DePaul University from 2001 to 2016 when I resigned from my tenure position to pursue storytelling and performance. So how did I go from being a professor to a storyteller? Let me take you back to one August morning in 2015. 8:30 in the morning, and I'm sitting on my bed surrounded by my 3 cats. And they're looking at me, screaming, "Feed me, feed me." At that moment, I thought to myself, I think I'll do better as a stand-up comedian. I immediately went online to Second City website, and I decided that I was going to register for an improv class. As I was about to register for an improv class, I thought of something my mother said to me decades ago. Now, let me take you back to 1980, Taipei, Taiwan. I was about 16, 17 years old. I was home in our kitchen, opening the fridge, about to pour a glass of water for myself when my mother walked in. And she said, "Shuju," my Chinese name, "what do you plan to major in college?" My parents and I, we didn't see eye to eye. My mother and I, we didn't get along. And that day, I decided to say something to irritate her. So I turned to her and said, "I want to major in theater and performance." Now, imagine telling your parents that you want to pursue a life of financial uncertainty and instability. In order to discourage me from pursuing my dream, this is how my mother responded. "Nah. You are not going to major in theater and performance. You are not going to make it. You are just not pretty enough." Don't worry, I'm healed. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. I was just trying to register for an improv class. What was I thinking about? Something my mother said to me that I wasn't good enough. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. I'm a grown woman. Why do I allow something somebody decades ago to affect my decision to pursue comedy? Besides, there are uglier people doing comedy than I am. So I went ahead and signed up for my very first improv class. And I still remember that summer, August in 2015, I was rolling on the floor, laughing out loud. I was chasing my younger classmates, playing improv games and playing different characters. I was feeling alive. I was pursuing my youthful dream. I was feeling happy, a feeling that I didn't know I could still have. And then when fall came, everything felt different. At night, I would be taking classes, I would be performing. I was feeling passionate, rejuvenated. And then during the day, when I went back to the classroom, teaching felt like a job for me. That was when I realized that I loved my students, but I just wasn't in love with teaching anymore. But then I didn't know what to do with this job that everybody so coveted. I came to this country in 1991 as an international student. When I first arrived, I could speak some English, but I could barely write. Not to even envision getting a PhD or getting published. And then by the time I got my PhD, got tenured, published by 2006, I thought I made it in the United States. I thought I achieved my American dream. I had status, prestige, respect, middle-class lifestyle. I had everything except one thing: happiness. I just wasn't happy. But then I didn't know what to do with this successful immigrant narrative. So in the next few weeks, I would struggle with this decision. I will go to school and feeling unfulfilled, and then I will go home and I will cry to myself. And then I will ask myself, do I continue to do this until the age of 65 when I retire? And then one night, I'm sitting in my apartment feeling miserable. My beautiful cat, Sarah, wanting to be petted. She came to me. And I was so unhappy and miserable, I yelled at her, "You go away." And at that moment, when I was yelling at her, I could picture myself hurting her in my head. You know who else I was thinking about? I was thinking about my father. My father passed away 2 years before I left Taiwan. He was this typical Asian man, worked hard to support his family. But he was deeply unhappy with his life. And when he felt oppressed at work, he came home and took it out on his family. At that moment, when I was yelling at my cat, I realized I was turning into someone toxic, someone abusive, someone I spent decades running away from, and someone like my father. And for me, whatever the university was paying me, it just wasn't worth it. I didn't want to become someone I didn't even like. So that one night, November 2015, 5 minutes before midnight, I realized that night was the night that I had to make a decision. I could no longer get stuck at a crossroad. Either I jump off the cliff, fly high, or I perish forever. So I asked myself one simple question. What was the question? And the question was, am I going to be okay if I had to wait tables and wash dishes? I got a PhD, but I didn't have any marketable skills outside of academia. Oh, some of you know. I spent my whole adult life in the United States in academia. I didn't know what I could do after I left. I didn't have any roadmap in front of me. Am I going to be okay if I had to wait tables and wash dishes? And the answer is yes. At least I will be happy. So again, I sit in front of my computer and I started typing. Dear colleagues, after 15 years of teaching, it's time for me to leave. And I hit send. And that was how I quit my tenure position without consulting with anyone. And that was one of the best decisions I have ever made in my life. Since 2016, I've been telling personal stories and done my 2 solo performances all over the world. Since 2017, I've been producing storytelling shows for people to tell difficult and vulnerable stories. I took a chance on myself, and I gave myself a second chance in life. Thank you.